In this video, I'm going to be trying to make a horror game, but in just 1 hour. I'm going to be using Trypo 3.0, the sharpest, most precise AI 3D generation tool, generating 3D assets for the game, then using those assets to create a horror game. Firstly, I'd like to give a shout out to Trypo for sponsoring this video. Trypo is an AI 3D generator tool that creates some of the sharpest, most detailed 3D models. Trypo is an incredibly easy to use and effective 3D generator, having industry-leading texture detail and next-level prompting where you can fine-tune your prompts to create the best 3D models. Trypo is built for pros, not just demos, and supports auto-rigging so you can get your 3D models straight into games. This is the perfect 3D model generator for game developers. The creative process with Trypo is very straightforward. You start by using an image from either uploading or generating an image, then you can use the one-click 3D model generation tool. From here, you can work through the different menus, including texturing, rigging, and other optimization to create your 3D model. Then you can export your 3D model and use it in your games. If you'd like to check out Trypo, I've got an invite link in my description where you can sign up to Trypo, which gives you extra credits to get you started. So let's jump into Trypo Studio and start creating our 3D model for the game. Alright, so here we are in Trypo. And essentially the model we want to generate is a horror enemy for our game. So as you can see, we're here in Trypo Studio and we want to start by going to the 3D model generator by clicking 3D model generator. And as you can see, we can now create our 3D model. So there's a lot of different menus here. I'll kind of run you through everything. So first of all, you've got the assets on this side. This is where all your generated assets will show up. Up the top here, we can switch between the different menus. So you've got generation, where we can generate high quality 3D models. We've got overview, where we can get a summary of the model. Then we've got some other things like texturing, rigging, stylization, all sorts of different things. We've got our main 3D environment here, which we can move around to check out our 3D model. And over here, this is where we can generate our model. So we can either do build and refine or one click, and one click will allow us to quickly generate a 3D model. So we can do image/text to 3D, type something in and generate our 3D model. So what we can do is we can describe what we want here, and then we can actually go down to our AI generator like GPT-4, and we can generate a more advanced prompt. So if we type in horror game enemy, we can go ahead and click on our creative rewriting. So as you see, it uses AI to rewrite our prompt, which gives us a little bit more of a detailed prompt for Trypo to use. From here, we can click generate image preview, which will then take this prompt and generate an image, which we can then use to generate a 3D model. So as you can see, we've got an image generating. So there we go. We've now got a preview image, and we can go ahead down here and click generate to generate the full 3D model. So let's click generate and see what type of 3D model we get. Okay, and as you see, we have a 3D model that's been generated. So it looks pretty accurate to the image preview that was generated. And it definitely looks like a type of character that would be in a horror game. And I'm pretty happy with this 3D object, so it's time to export it and try to use it in our game. All right, so I also wanted to generate some environmental assets for my game. So I think I'm gonna generate a tree for my game. What we have to do here is then delete that image, and we can type in a new prompt. So let's type a horror style tree for a game environment. And then we're just going to click generate image preview, see what type of preview we get, and then generate a model from that image preview. All right, so there's the image preview that's been generated. So we can go ahead and use this image to generate a 3D model for our game now. And as you can see here, we have a 3D tree for a horror game generated. All right, so we're here in Unity now, and we're gonna try use our model generated from Trypo to make a 3D horror game. So to get started, we need to start by making a game environment. We're just gonna create a cube, and then we're going to use the scale tool to stretch out this cube like such. Now we've added in our 3D character controller, and we're ready to make this into a horror game. So to do that, we're going to expand on this game environment here just by scaling it up more. And as you can see, now we've kind of got a game environment. However, to improve on our game environment, we're going to add in some of the trees we generated using Trypo. So all we have to do here is drag in our tree model, and there you go, it's been added to game. So now we can just scale that so it's the size that we want for our game. Can move it so it's properly placed in the environment. And as you can see, if I run the game, our model has been added to the game. Now, obviously we want to increase the scale of the tree so it looks more like a realistic horror tree. We want to bring it up to about there. And there we go. That looks more like a horror game tree. So now all we have to do is make a few more of these, put them around the map, and sort of create a forest environment. To do that, all we have to do is really copy and paste and move them around the map. All right, so now as you can see, we've sort of got more of a horror environment here with a lot of these horror trees. All we have to do now is make the game more darker and sort of make the game feel like it's got more of a horror environment. All right, so we've adjusted the game lighting settings and it looks more like a horror game environment. All right, so now we've added in our game horror enemy, and as you can see, the horror environment lighting really increases the horror effect, but there's our game enemy. Now it's time to program the game enemy and see if we can create a horror game enemy. All right, so we've programmed it so the enemy will move around the map avoiding trees, and if the enemy is in range of the player, the enemy will start following the player. It's a pretty standard horror enemy program, and as you can see, the enemy is moving around avoiding the trees, and if the player was to go into a set range of the enemy would follow the player. So the next 3D model I wanted to create was a weapon for my horror game. So to do this, I'm just going to start by going to image/text to 3D and typing in horror game weapon. Then I'm going to generate an image preview, and then we'll use that image to generate a 3D model. All right, so as you see, our image has been generated, and we can go ahead and generate a 3D model based on this image. And there we go, our 3D weapon has been generated. As you can see, it looks pretty similar to the image that was generated, and I think it works really well for our horror game. So one thing I actually wanted to show you on Tripo is this button here, which is retopology. And essentially what this will do is basically clean up the image and make it optimized. So if we click the button here, I can show you how it works. So if we click the retopology button here, let's see what happens. So as you can see, our weapon looks a lot more high quality now, and it looks a lot more ready for our game. And as you can see, we've imported our weapon into Unity and we've attached it to the player. So now we've got a weapon in our game. All right, so the next model we want to try generate is for our game environment. We're going to type horror game building and just see what it gets generated. All right, we've got our image. We're going to generate our model, and there we go. This has been generated. This looks awesome. I'm also going to apply the retopology to this model as well, just because I think it makes the model look a lot cleaner and a lot more polished for your game. And there we go, we've added the changes to the model, so now we can add the model to our game. And there you go, we've added it to our game environment. And there you go, we pretty much have a horror game. As you can see, just by generating a few models using Tripo AI, we can add them to a Unity project and start to really create a horror game. Obviously, there's a lot more I could add to this game to really make a horror game, but in terms of just creating models for the game, Tripo works really well for doing that. I've got an enemy, a weapon, and also some environmental assets. Thanks for watching this video. Thanks again to Tripo for sponsoring this video. If you'd like to check out Tripo, you can use the invite link in my description, where you can sign up to Tripo, which gives you extra credits to get you started. If you'd like to check out more of my content, you can visit my website over at badgamedev.fun. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like. You can also leave a comment, and you can also subscribe.